Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday. We are right there at the end of the working week. Everyone get ready for a good weekend. Arsenal, of course, returning to action as well tomorrow afternoon at Leicester. Mikel Arteta has just been speaking ahead of that game at his press conference at London Colney, and as you can see, I'm not there. Couldn't make it there today because of the joys of doing the school run and Arsenal calling an early press conference this morning. So impossible for me to get to it, so I had to watch it online, and lots to talk about. Lots of updates from Mikel Arteta over a wide range of stuff. So I'll give my reaction to what he's had to say. We'll look ahead to that Leicester game. We'll do predicted 11. Plenty discussed today. So let's get cracking. Let's start with Bukayo Saka's contract, shall we? Now, what brilliant news this is very close to now being done. It's not signed yet, but it is very, very close now. Just the last few details to be ironed out. It's all agreed sort of in principle in terms of the actual deal itself, which is great news. It's fantastic. Lots of excitement about it. Not signed yet, but that should be done very, very imminently now. The big hurdles have been avoided, and Bukayo Saka will soon put pen to paper on a very lucrative deal, which he thoroughly deserves. Going to be one of the highest players, if not the highest player in the club when all the incentives are added onto it. And look, he's Arsenal's player of the year for the last 2 seasons. He's Arsenal top scorer again this season. Top assist maker. I think he's a top assist maker this season as well, off the top of my head. And that just shows how important he is. He deserves every bit of money. I really struggle to put into words just how big it is that he is going to sign this new contract. Everyone hoped it was going to happen, of course, but still, every single club, and I mean every club in Europe, would have been banging on his agent's door in the last year or so, finding out what the situation is, making their interest known in Bukayo Saka. And Saka would have been well aware of that interest, and he has decided to stay at Arsenal, and it just is a massive thing for them. On the back of Gabriel Martinelli signing here, I mean, you got two of football's best talent. I don't even really want to call them talents anymore, because although they're very, very young, they're senior footballers. So just instead of just 2 of Europe's best talents, it's 2 of Europe's best players have now committed their long-term future to Arsenal, and that is absolutely fantastic. And obviously, you've still got Saliba to get done. Hopefully, that will get done. It always felt like that was going to be the toughest of the 3 to do, given his story, really, when it comes to Arsenal. But hopefully still that does get done. I mean, Mikel was asked about Bukayo's contract at the press conference. He didn't say anything, which is understandable. He was never going to say anything. He said, no news on that. When it's done, I can tell you more. But obviously, we have the intention to extend the contracts of our players. When it's done, it's great news for the club. He then kind of went on more about what it will mean when he signs. He says, look, we want to keep our best players, the players that we are developing, and create a long-term project here. And obviously we want our best players to be committed to the club. It's our responsibility to keep our best players, our best people, and the people that basically have the same aims and purposes with the club, to stick with them together for a while and give stability. And from there on, we can keep evolving and become a better club. It's about developing a team, developing a squad, and as well taking the club where we want. It's maximising the resources we have, and we have huge resources because we have a lot of talent, and we have to keep that talent, keep improving, and keep making it better. It's exactly that. For Arsenal, you've got this hugely talented team that's been assembled through good signings, through academy players, through good coaching. The worst thing that could happen when Arsenal get to this position they're in now is to start getting picked off. We've seen it at Arsenal over the years. When you get this top talent, you have it all together, it looks like it's evolving, then suddenly, bang, clubs from across Europe with more money come in and pick those players off, and then you're back to square one again. There was the worst thing that could have happened to Arsenal, and the fact now that they've kept Martinelli, they're keeping Saka, hopefully they'll keep Saliba. It just means all you have to do is add. You're not having to replace, you're just having to add. And when you're in that position, you are a hell of a lot stronger. And that's why it's so massive that Arsenal have kept hold of those 2. And Bukayo Saka as well, who, 21, he is the go-to player. He is still the player. He is the player who makes things happen, who stands up. He's 21 years old. Such a talent. Arsenal through and through. Such a great person as well. You can obviously hear it in my voice. It's just such fantastic news for Arsenal. And fingers crossed, we will soon be seeing the actual official pictures of him sitting there, pen in hand, signing that contract. Fantastic news for Arsenal. Mikel did also speak about other contracts in the press conference. He was asked about Granit Xhaka, and he said nothing there yet. He was asked about Saliba, and again, he just said no news. But so that's what he had to say about contracts and Bukayo Saka. Elsewhere in the press conference, there was a lot of questions about sort of Bukayo needing more protection. That obviously follows on from the big hits he's taken in the last couple of games against Manchester City and Aston Villa. In fact, in every game. And Mikel, you can kind of see when he talks about it, he doesn't want to go too deep into it because he doesn't want to I don't think you probably don't want Bukayo Saka hearing it all the time, and you don't want referees constantly hearing it because it almost feels like you're asking too much and you're kind of crying about it too much. And you can feel that when you listen to Mikel when he's talking about it. He wants to get a point across, but he also is determined to get the point across that Bukayo's just going to have to accept it because that's the type of player he is. He's a skillful winger, he's an attacker, he's a brilliant player. He's just going to get kicks. It's clear it happens to all the best players. So it's about trying to protect him as best you can, but also knowing that it's just going to keep happening. And I think it was very clear in his responses about that. He was asked about team news ahead against Leicester City, and that is very good. In terms of Thomas Partey, as we know, he hasn't really been training this week, but it does look like he might be available. Arsenal are going to make a late decision. As I said yesterday, they'll make a late decision on Partey after today. The squad will travel today up to Leicester City to go to the team hotel, and Arsenal will make a decision after today's training session about whether Partey can be fit. This is what Mikel had to say. Obviously, there is a question mark on Thomas. He hasn't trained much, but it looks like he could be available. Let's see how he trains today. He's a really important player for us, and we've missed the last few games. Hopefully, he can be available. So that is good news. Although I have to say, I still think even if he is fit or past fit, I'd be surprised if he starts, just because you don't want to take any risks with Thomas. We've seen he's had issues sometimes coming back a little bit too early from a problem. And the fact that Jorginho's there, he's playing well. Arsenal have got a game on Wednesday night at home. I just feel like you're probably going to err on the side of caution when it comes to Thomas Partey, but who knows? The fact that he is potentially available is a big boost. It just means as well, even if he isn't past fit for tomorrow's game, then you think Everton feels like, that will be a definite in terms of his return. And that's a good news because it ends up just being a couple of games out for Partey rather than 4 or 5 weeks, which I think whenever he gets injured with a muscle injury, we're always worried about. So that is definitely a good update and a really positive one on Gabriel Jesus as well. Obviously, tomorrow is going to come too soon for him, but really positive news. This is what Mikel had to say about Gabriel Jesus. He says he's progressing really well. He's doing more and more on the field and the knee is not reacting. So that's really positive. We want to have him as quick as possible, but we respect as well a little bit the time frame that we got from the doctors and the specialists. But he's really pushing the boundaries right now. That's really positive what Mikel's saying there about Gabriel Jesus. Arsenal understandably very cautious about how he's brought back, when he's brought back, but it's clearly now getting to that stage where he is very close to potentially being involved and at least seeing him in training with those pictures in full training. I think that's going to be a major boost when we see that. Be interesting to see if Arsenal decide to give him at least one under-21s game, which I suggest they probably will, rather than just throwing him straight back into the first team picture. I think you might look to give him maybe 60 minutes or so, or 45 minutes with the under-21s, just to get him out playing properly in a competitive style match again, and then bring him into the first team. So definitely want to keep an eye on the next couple of under-21s starting 11, I would say. But really good news on Gabriel Jesus. It kind of fits the time frame. This is a crucial couple of weeks now in terms of when you really start stepping it up and you start putting him into training. He starts really properly twisting and turning on that knee. That's going to be the crucial stage in terms of his recovery. And if he can get through that, then, hopefully we're going to see him back in the first team very soon. And that will be huge. He's missed 9 Premier League games now. You'd think by the time he does come back, that's probably going to be 11 or 12, because I can't imagine he'll be back for, so Everton or even next weekend. So, but still, getting him back for the final run-in for like the last 10 Premier League games is going to be a huge thing. So fingers crossed that all continues to go well. Okay, predicted 11-wise for Leicester. I think we're probably going to go back to near enough the starting 11 we all kind of go for when it comes to Arsenal at the moment. Mikel made a couple of changes last week with Ben White going out of the team and Gabriel Martinelli coming back going back out of the team. I kind of feel like those two might well come back in for this one. I don't think Thomas Partey will start. I'd be surprised, but who knows? Remember, this is just me trying to predict the 11 rather than saying for sure what it's going to be. So I'm going to go for Ramsdale in goal, then a back four of White, Saliba, Gabriel and Zinchenko. Then I'm going to go Jorginho as the holding midfielder, Jorginho as the holding midfielder, Granit Xhaka and Martin Odegaard ahead of him as the two number 8s. And then I'm going to go Saka, Nketiah and Gabriel Martinelli. I wouldn't, be against Gabriel Martinelli starting on the bench again, because we've seen how much of an impact he's made when he's come on as a substitute. The last couple of times he's come off the bench against City in the Cup and against Villa last weekend. But I just feel the performance he put in at Villa Park when he came on, how hungry he looked, the fact he scored as well, give him such a confidence boost. I just feel like maybe Martinelli will start. And also the way that Leicester play, the space they leave down the flanks. We saw how much Manchester United exploited that last weekend with Marcus Rashford. Both of his goals coming from the first one down the right-hand side, the second one down the left-hand side when he got in behind the fullback. There was so much space there. Just makes me feel like this could well be a game to start Martinelli and have Trossard on the bench. So that's my predicted 11. Before I go, some good stuff from Arteta, I thought, in his press conference on Mohamed Elneny's contract and why it was signed. This is what he had to say. It's totally deserved. It's an absolute joy to have him at the club. I think what the club has done is absolutely brilliant. It's not just with words that we say that we value the people that we have and that we stick together in difficult moments. Mo had a really difficult moment a few weeks ago when he had a pretty big injury, a serious injury, and the club committed with him for what he gives to the team, for what he has done for this football club. I think it's a really strong message by everybody at the club to try and keep our best people and our best players with us in challenging moments. I've already said really what I think about this. I think Arsenal have done absolutely the right thing. It's, as Mikel says, it sends out a really positive message about what the club's about and how they treat their players. They could have easily cast it on any aside at the end of the season, but they would have done that with him still badly injured, still in need of a recovery programme, still in need of a rehabilitation programme. They haven't. They've shown that they're ready to stick by him, and I think they've done absolutely the right thing. Arsene Wenger did it with Santi Cazorla, and that was absolutely the right thing. And this with Elneny, again, I think is a right move, and it shows an awful lot of class by Arsenal. I thought those comments from Mikel were very, very good. Lastly, before I go, the Europa League draw is happening. I mean, to be honest, it's happening in about 20 minutes in terms of when I'm recording this video. So by the time it's uploaded, it's probably going to already have happened. Although actually saying that, the amount of time UEFA take to actually do the draws, it probably won't have done. But certainly by the time you're watching this video, if you're watching it later on in the afternoon, we'll already know who Arsenal are going to be facing the Europa League round of 16, because the draw's happening. They're either going to get Juventus, Sporting Lisbon, Bayer Leverkusen, Sevilla, Union Berlin, Roma or Shakhtar Donetsk. The second leg, of course, is going to be at the Emirates, so we know that the first leg is going to be away from home. All tough draws there for Arsenal. When you look at who Man United are going to get, I think United are going to get definitely the easier draw, which makes you think, how much of an advantage is it that Arsenal won the group, and yet at this stage they're going to be coming up against a team that's in this group. It doesn't feel right, but having said that, at least they've avoided 2 extra fixtures. United certainly came through a really difficult 2 games in that win against Barcelona as well. So we'll find out very, very soon. By the time you're watching this, you're probably already going to know who Arsenal are going to be facing in the Europa League round of 16. So that's coming up today as well. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. Lots to go through today, reacting to that press conference from Mikel Arteta. Lots of good news to digest from it as well. And big game for Arsenal tomorrow at Leicester. Have a very good end to the day. Enjoy your weekend, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.